Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I'll be giving you guys a guide on how to gear up a character to as high of an item level as 380 plus. In this video I want to give you guys all the tools you need if you're trying to gear up a brand new character or you're trying to improve on your main that is still sitting at a fairly low item level. Gearing a World of Warcraft BFA is partially RNG, but also partially taking proactive steps forward when it comes to trying to get our character back on its feet. Whether you want to finally push some PVE, PVP, or maybe you've been playing a class like a rogue for a while and you decided, hey, I'm just gonna play a Shadow Priest because they look more exciting than what rogues have had in BFA to offer. Not that that's my position whatsoever, I'm just giving you guys an example. I'm still going to be a rogue main, but I want to give you guys the tools on how to actually go and get yourself a higher item level. Because of the way stats are done in BFA, strength, intellect, and agility are your most effective stats. Of course, you might want a certain amount of haste or a certain amount of crit from time to time. Agility, strength, and intellect is what's going to be the bread and butter of your spec. So therefore, having higher item level means you're generally doing more damage. You might not be stat perfect, but hey, it's an improvement regardless, and you gotta start somewhere. So I'm gonna go over all the different methods I have in the particular order of the things you can do actively now, and towards the end of the list, some of the things you guys can look out for and are more optional. So the first part of this video is going to be events. There's a lot of events in World of Warcraft happening all over the place that is easy gear for you guys to grind. First of all, invasions is a steady item level increase every time they are up, whether you're trying to gear out your mains or alts. Every time you get to accomplish the invasion, do 4 of the world quests and complete the quest for that invasion, you're going to get a piece of gear with an item level appropriate to what you are running. And that item level is always going to increase as your personal item level increases. Of course, there's also a chance for you to Warforge and Titanforge, so it's a huge opportunity for you guys to get a piece of gear. Invasions are also enjoyable to do in war mode for some world PvP if you guys are feeling like kicking Alliance ass or killing some Horde ass while you're getting some world quests done. Invasions happen at least once a day, and if you guys have a busy schedule IRL and you want to just try to plan around for that invasion, maybe you want to get a break from work, log on in your laptop, and during your lunch break, just make sure to get your invasion done ASAP. You can check out the link on Wowhead on the front page. They'll have for both NA and EU timers for when invasions are going to be available, so you can kind of maybe sort of plan around your schedule IRL in order to try to get that invasion in once a day. You should also be on the lookout for warfronts whenever they are available, as in the warfront participation. Join the warfront with your faction and you can almost AFK most of them. Or you should try to contribute and help out your team. You really shouldn't try to AFK, but it's not the most difficult type of content. Join everybody, get your resources, get the big push, slay the boss, and then you should be able to get a decent piece of gear out of it whenever your faction is the attacking faction in a warfront. Next, we're going to talk a bit about world bosses. World bosses have a chance to drop you guys some decent loot, and that loot has a chance to Warforge or Titanforge, so if you're just trying to scrounge for every bit of gear, every bit of item level, and if let's say you're 370 and you're about to do a world boss that only drops 355, it might be worth for you guys to do them either way, because that piece of gear could Warforge or even better Titanforge to something that will be an actual upgrade for you. You got the basic world bosses somewhere on Zuldazar or Kultiras. Those have a rotation every week. And then of course, whenever your faction controls a warfront, there will be a world boss for either one of those. There's both bosses, one in Arathi, the other in Darkshore, and for the Horde right now we hold both of the regions currently, so we have access to both of the world bosses. Whether they drop you gear or not is going to be RNG, but it's always a good idea to hit them up, and if in case you are able to get a piece of gear, that'll get you just that one extra step further into getting a higher item level, especially if that piece of gear has a chance to Titanforge. Let's talk about some of the challenging content that you can take advantage of right now in order to guarantee yourself some good pieces of gear. First of all, you have Mythic Plus caps, and you want to make sure to cap at least a +10 chest key every week. Now, Mythic Plus 10s might not be everyone's cup of tea, and they might not be for everybody. Trust me, 10s are fairly easy and doable most of the weeks. If anything, there's a lot of groups in Mythic Plus dungeons that are running them just to get that 10 cap done. They don't care about timing the key, they just want to get one done for the week. So if you're lucky, look out for those groups because they are out there. Groups that will just want to get you a plus 10. With a plus 10, you'll earn yourself a 380 plus guaranteed piece of gear at randomized, and you'll also get yourself a little bit of that Titan Residium currency. And if you head over to where the transmog vendor and the coin vendor is, for both of the Alliance and the Horde, they'll be by the docks, the ethereal vendors. You'll be able to utilize eventually as you amass more Titan Residium to buy yourself an Azeroth piece of gear, whether it's a specific piece or a randomized high item level piece. Outside of that, raiding can also net you a bit fair amount of gear. Unless you're someone who does mythic raids, which should get you the highest item level, I would say getting you once a week heroic is a fairly low ball situation. Most of you guys should be able to do it as Blizzard tries to balance out the fights so more people can play them. If you're not at that level, maybe normals might be good for you, as the gear itself can Titan Forge or Warforge. As of January 22nd, we'll be getting a brand new raid, and the item levels for everything PvE is gonna spike up. So as soon as the new raid comes out, get it done at least on normal to get a base of 385 item level pieces. Or if you want to be a little bit more ballsy, heroic is going to give you as high as 400 item level. Then you have also the PvP weekly cap for Conquest, very similar to Mythic Plus chest. You'll have a PvP chest at the beginning of your week, Tuesday or Wednesday if you are EU, with a piece of gear, but the piece of gear is going to be only as good as your rating in arena. So the higher rated you are, the better the piece of loot will be. So as you get better at the game, if let's say PvP is just a cup of tea, the better you are at PvP, the better the piece of loot will be at the end of the week, a guaranteed piece of loot. The last part I'll talk a bit about is the RNG aspect of the game, which is the Titan Forging. Whether you like Titan Forging or not, a lot of people choose to do world quests, which is the easy piece of content, for a chance for gear to Titan Forge in order to increase their item level. Every time you get a piece of loot from anywhere, it has a chance to Warforge and even Titan Forge. Warforge means it'll get a minor buff, and Titan Forge means it can get as high as 20 plus item level buff, maybe even with the gem sockets. It's all very RNG, but it gives players a reason to do world quests, even if you have item levels that outsurpass what the world quest can offer you. Well, let's say you have a decent ring, let's say 340 item level, and you do a world quest that can reward you a 330 item level. You're thinking, that's 10 item level downgrade for me, there's no point. But what if that ring Titan Forges to a 350 or a 360 or a 360 with a socket? Now it becomes a lot more usable. And all you have to do is try your hand at the world quest and do the world quest. It's literally random chance whether you get it or not, but sometimes honestly I feel like I've been lucky on my alts, and that's why I keep doing world quests all the time. You're gonna be doing world quests for your emissaries anyway, so might as well prioritize world quests that reward you a piece of loot for that chance for the sweet Titan Forge. Now finally, there's a few other ways of getting gear that you can use depending if you have gold or if you have resources or if you're into professions. First of all, gold on the auction house. You can spend your own personal gold to get a piece of gear with a higher item level. The prices on those will be different depending on your server, but sometimes you can pick up some decent trinkets, especially Darkmoon trinkets for a character you just got to max level. Of course, there's also professions, and professions can offer you right now as high as an item level 385 if you invest your time in professions. And of course, as the new raid tier will come out, you'll be able to get a lot more recipes for even better pieces of gear. So keeping up with the profession means that you'll have a guaranteed way for you to farm out a piece of gear and craft one yourself at a later time. Outside of that, if you're just simply trying to find the easiest way to get some gear whenever your faction controls the warfront, make sure to do as many warfront rares as possible. Usually you can find a group in custom PvE or PvP where they have war mode on or off, and do as many rares as you wish. There'll be generally a lot of groups, raid groups, that are just going from rare to rare to rare, and never one of those rares, as long as they don't drop you an Azeroth piece of gear, all the gear that has a chance to give you at least a 340 if you're lucky, and if it does give you 340, it could potentially warforge or Titan Forge. It is one of the easier ways of you getting some pieces of loot. Again, not a guarantee, but if you have nothing else to do, that would be the bare minimum that I think you guys should do, at least whenever the warfront is in your faction's favor. Outside of that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm just trying to help you guys out, get at least 380 plus item level on your characters. This is the stuff I will be doing with my main, and this is the stuff I do with my ults in order to grind out the item level. Of course, for me, it's a lot more passive because I have my main, my rogue, and that's the only real character I'm trying for PvP or PvE. For my ults though, it's always a good idea to keep them up to date and keep the item level fairly high in case I want to enjoy any kind of PvE or PvP experience with that said ult. As always guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.